So let's start with step 1 of cellular respiration. This is glycolysis. So the word glycolysis, glyco means sugar and lysis means to split. So glycolysis literally means we're going to split the glucose in half. So remember, this step does not require any oxygen at all. And where it takes place in the cell would be the cytoplasm. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take the glucose, which has 6 carbons, which I'm just going to represent as these little balls. And we're just going to split the glucose just right in the middle. And so we end up making 2 molecules of a 3-carbon sugar called pyruvate. So that's all glycolysis is. We just split the glucose in half. That's it. And when we break that chemical bond, we are going to release some energy, and we do end up making a little bit of ATP, just 2 ATPs, so you don't have to memorize that at all. And when we do break that chemical bond, we're also going to rip some electrons off the glucose, and we'll put that on our electron carrier and make 2 of the NADHs. And those electrons will be transferred to the electron transport chain in our last step, oxidative phosphorylation. So here's where glycolysis is going to be occurring. It's just in the cytoplasm. And summary of glycolysis. So we just take the glucose, split it in half, and then we do make a little bit of ATP, and we do store some of those electrons on our electron carrier, which we'll take to our electron transport chain in our last step in oxidative phosphorylation. Step 2 is called the citric acid cycle, and remember, it's going to occur in the mitochondrial matrix. So remember, the mitochondrial matrix is right in the middle of the mitochondrion. And this step, we're going to be taking the glucose, all of the 6 carbons will now, by this point, be all turned into a waste product. And that waste product is carbon dioxide. So all 6 of the carbons in the carbon dioxide are now turned into carbon dioxide, which we will then exhale. Which is kind of weird to think about, that the food you're eating, all the carbon in that food gets exhaled as CO2, which is kind of interesting. Okay, and this step, we do need oxygen for it to occur, because remember, your mitochondria don't work unless oxygen is present. We do make a tiny bit of ATP, just 2 ATP in this step, and we do rip electrons off of the food particles, and we do fill up our electron carriers, so we do make some of those, and those electrons are going to be transferred to the electron transport chain in the last step. And so you don't need to memorize any of these numbers or anything like that. So the big thing is just to know these things that are in yellow. Okay, so for a citric acid cycle, this step is going to be taking place in the mitochondrial matrix, which is right in the middle of our mitochondrion. And here's just a picture of the citric acid cycle. So it does form a circle because things are going to be regenerated. And the big thing to note here is that all of the carbons from glucose will, by this point, be turned into carbon dioxide.